We need to talk. I'm wondering if any of you guys who are looking for a real friendship is experiencing this. People are either way too tired, they're just so surface level, and there's no effort to actually build something. I just found lately I've been longing for more real, deeper friendships. This is what I imagine. I'm talking about the real friendships where you can talk about anything with your friends. You go places together, you laugh together, you cry together. Man, you can even call them in the middle of the night and they would answer type thing. Obviously, if you have work, I understand. But you get the point. Like, you can call them anytime, hit them up, and they would pick up. And get this, it would even get to the point where you're not the one planning everything, and it's actually reciprocal. They plan something, you plan something, they hit you up, you hit them up. It like goes back and forth. And there was a point where I would go to a lot of events, I would socialize, always be meeting people. So you'd meet a lot of great people, you'd make great friends, and things get into momentum, and then all of a sudden season changes and it sucks. So lately I've been like, okay, why do I feel like I have to start all over again? Now I have to like work for friendships again, and it almost feels like dating. And then on top of that, you have to look for the right type of friends. You have to click with the friend, right? Because you can meet people and not click with them. But I have to admit, I've been in this season, man, I don't feel like planning anything. Oh God. I don't feel like doing that pursuit again. I don't feel like going through all the effort again to look for friends. As much as it sounds like no one's putting in effort, but that's the problem. Is I'm seeing there always has to be that one person that's putting all the effort. And don't get me wrong, I know I've said it, where if you want friendships, you kind of have to be the first initiator. But you know, sometimes it just gets tiring. I don't know if any of you guys been feeling this, but sometimes friendship just feels hard. And it's hard to make truly real friendships. Anyone could go outside right now and just make a friend. Man, you could just see someone walking on the road, say hey, and get in a conversation, and boom, there's a friendship being born. Doesn't mean they're your best friends, but there's somewhat of a friendship being born. But it's like lately I've been thinking, God, I just want real friendships. I almost want to say like those type of friendships were back in high school. You'd be hitting each other up and all that stuff. Obviously, we know once you get in adult life, it's a whole different story. But like, it's still out there. Like, people still have friendships where they're meeting up. But I have friendships where you would meet up and catch up, and then the next time you meet up again, you're meeting up and catch up. And I'm kind of tired of those type of friendships. I kind of want that frequent type of friendship. You know, that girlhood where you're speaking frequently, you're checking up on each other, you're sending memes, funny Instagram videos you've seen, like that type of friendship where you can just hit them up when you're like, I just feel like talking, and you just hit them up. Or you could contact them last minute and it doesn't have to be this whole plan. Hey girl, hey, it's Saturday, or are you free? Let's go here type thing. And like I said, I understand people work. It's a constant battle to find that. And I miss that. I miss that type of friendship. And I'm just feeling like a lot of friendships are just surface level. It doesn't get deep enough than what I would like. Because in order to have those real, true friendships, the relationship has, at a certain point, has to get deeper. And I don't find it gets to that point. And so maybe like people nowadays are more holding back. Maybe friendships have disappointed them. I don't know, but you guys can let me know if you've experienced that, where friendships are not deep enough anymore. Very surface level. And is it me, or people are a little bit more sensitive? What I'm also missing is the type of friendships where it can stand the test of time through good and bad. Like, you can argue with a friend and then talk the next day again like nothing happened. You laugh with a friend and life goes on. You disagree with a friend and then whatever continues. But I even found like lately, even just setting boundaries, I find people get more upset about it. If I have a friend that sets a boundary with me, I'm going to listen. Obviously, I may have a little feelings about it, but I'm gonna make sure that I don't cross any boundaries or don't do something that I like or whatever, that something that triggers them. But I found lately when I've stood for myself, because sometimes there's a lot of people pleasing, all of a sudden like people get so offended and they stop talking to you. Now, I haven't had this happen with multiple people, but I've seen this happen. And then I was more shocked about it because I was like, is this a thing where people, if you set boundaries, people don't like it? And then I started talking to other people, just like trying to understand, like, maybe this is a new era. And I've actually heard from other friends where they've had their own scenarios where they have set boundaries and their friend stops talking to them. And I'm in pure shock. Is this a thing? It makes you question, were they actually your friend? If they quickly get offended when you say, hey, I don't like that. Like, to me, if someone tells me that, I move on. I think that's crazy. So that's what I mean by even surface level. It's like you can't make someone upset anymore. Like, you can't disagree. Isn't the whole point of a friendship is like you're working through everything. Everything can't be dandy and sunflowers and roses. You guys are going to have disagreements. So I don't understand why some friendships can't stand the test of time. And the thing that bothers me most is there's a part of me that in back of my mind, I'm wondering if this was a dating situation and you got in a disagreement with your partner, you would most likely work through it. Like, you see this a lot of times where if anything, the partner would do something way beyond past boundaries, way past boundaries. You'll see the woman forgive them. And then the relationship still keeps on going. Why is it when it comes to friendship, it seems like, especially women, we don't work through it. Like, right away, we just end the friendship. I wish more women ended relationships when a guy, like, went past their boundaries. Let's be real. I think that's crazy. Hey, like, you guys could disagree with me, but I think that's nuts. That you're willing to salvage a romantic relationships and do whatever it takes. Put aside your feelings. But when it comes to a friendship, you're not willing to do that. I think there needs to be some reassessment. It seems like it's very hard to get these type of friendships where it can go through ups and downs, hard times and good times. And I guess that's what I'm really seeking, is the type of friendships where you can have an argument. And then you're like, okay, it's cool. That's how I feel. Or let's talk through it. But it seems like people are not willing to do that. And I think I've gotten to a point where I'm tired of putting my best foot forward. So let's say if I get into a disagreement, I just realized over the years, why am I always the person that puts my best foot forward and I'm the bigger person? I'm always the one fighting for the friendship. And I got to a point where I'm like, wouldn't it be nice? I would like for once to have the type of friendship where someone would actually fight for my friendship. They would actually fight to be like, okay, let me contact Nikhil and let's talk it through. It's like, why is it always on me? I just think people are just too quick to end friendships because they're already so hard to make. It really takes a lot of effort. So how I see it, if there's a disagreement or whatever changes, for me, I'm going to fight for the friendship because I cherish friendships. But I don't know, maybe people don't anymore. I don't know. You tell me. So for me, when it comes to friendship, I've just been wanting more. And it's not satisfying what I'm looking for. I'm being really real with you guys and transparent. I just got into a point where I want more deeper and fulfilling relationships. It's even to the point where you even know your friend's family. I'm a person where I spend holidays alone. So it'd be nice to like go and see their family, you go to dinner with them. I feel like that's how it was back in the day, but I feel like people don't do that as much. And don't get me wrong, like, I'm completely okay with continuing to meet new people. Because I understand that there's a season. That sometimes you're just not meant to be friends forever. And things are going to change. And another thing I'm seeing is, I think people desire friendships, but they're not ready to put into the work. So what do I mean by that? Is I've met people where they're like, yeah, let's hang out. Hey, you have a cool vibe, you have a cool energy, all this stuff. But then when you start actually reaching out to make plans, I get life is busy, but then it's hard to find a date or pinpoint a date. And I get that, but it gets to the point where if you want to develop and if you want a friendship to blossom, like, there has to be some type of sacrifice. There just has to be. You have to make time. I was recently listening to a podcast and they're having this discussion about making time to do things, and they're saying like the reality is that we're all busy, we all have responsibility, and we could all say we don't have time, but if we really want something, we have to make time, we have to find time. It's kind of like the person was saying, you know, when Breaking Bad came out, I watched all 4 seasons and I found time, even though I was busy, I had kids, all this stuff. And I remember laughing because I'm like, that's so true. You'll usually find time for something that you really want. And I think it's lacking that. I think people portray certain things, but then the action doesn't line up. Is this where friendships are heading? And I know there's good friendships out there, but it's like, is this where friendships are heading? I just think people underestimate friendships. Or let's go farther. I think people underestimate friendship building and growing friendships and making friendships. Because what I've quickly discovered is when it comes to developing friendships, it requires a lot of effort and being outside of your comfort zone. Because you may go to work and then you may be tired after work, or you may have this urge where you're like, oh, I feel like just staying home. But it's like you have to push through that, because if you stay home, you're not making the friendships. And then in order to go out, it requires some type of effort. Remember, I was having a conversation with a friend, and she talked about, because we would go to salsa dancing socials, and I remember she said this one thing where she was like, "Here, the hardest part is putting on your clothes to get out the house." But she was like, but once you get out the house, it's easy, right? Because you could just go. But the hardest part is getting up and putting on your outfit. And I'm like, that's so true. And so usually the hardest part is getting out the house so you can meet up with that friend or get ready and go wherever you need to go. And if you've been on this channel, you know me, I have no problem going to places solo. And I've been lately in this season where I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna go to that place alone and do things on my own, because I also don't want to just wait around for people and go back to where I was before, where I would do that and then not do anything fun. And so I'm in that season where I'm like, okay, I'm making my own fun. Now, it may not be ideal. Obviously, it's nice when you have friends where you can go places with and you build memories with. But I've been in that season. And it's very liberating, by the way. Because you'd be surprised too, like when you're by yourself, the amount of people that you speak with, because you're by yourself. But I have had questions where I'm like, if I'm being honest, do I want to go through the headache of trying to make friendships again? And it's, unfortunately, we live in a world where we need friends. And I just think friendships have their hard seasons and they have their good seasons. And it sucks because you can have really good friendships for a season and then all of a sudden everything changes. And I think that's where I am. It's like everything's like changing and you start to evolve too. The more you grow, you're gonna find that you lose a lot of friends as well. It's a hard one. I just thought I would make this video and just be real about it, because sometimes friendships can be very hard. It can be draining and discouraging because it doesn't meet your expectations. It doesn't satisfy you. And I feel like that's where I'm at. And sometimes you just have no willpower to start all over again with friendships. And so I thought, why not just make a video about it? And I don't have all the answers today when it comes to friendships. But I want to know if anyone else is feeling this shift in friendships, or is it just me?